Paul Hogan discusses how terrible the split from Linda Kozlowski was. On October 8, 1939, Paul Hogan was born in Lightning Ridge, New South Wales, Australia. The small remote village of Lightning Ridge is well known for its gritty frontier character and opal digging. He was born in the late 1930s and came from a generation that experienced both World War II and the Great Depression. Although not much is known about his parents or early years, Hogan's modest upbringing in rural Australia influenced his grounded demeanor and earthy sense of humor, which would later become his defining characteristics both on and off film. He was raised in a working-class household. Thus, his career path wasn't as easy as that of a conventional performer. Instead, he used his tenacity, humor, and charisma to forge his own route. One of the most infamous and challenging jobs in Sydney as a young guy was working as a crane on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Because their work was to maintain and repair the massive steel structure, riggers needed to be courageous, strong, and accustomed to heights. He became stronger and more aware of the harsh realities of hard work as a result of the experience. However, it also provided him with exposure to many personalities and situations that would later aid him in his comedic endeavors. Hogan was far away from the entertainment industry from his vantage point over the bustling harbor. However, the work helped him develop his ability to laugh in the face of hardship and peril, which became a key component of his comedic approach. Paul Hogan's first encounter with fame was a fortunate accident rather than a well-planned event. He participated in the Australian talent show New Faces in 1971. Despite not being a professional comedian at the time, audiences responded immediately to Hogan's innate wit and distinct sense of humor, which included self-deprecating jokes, sharp observations, and a decidedly Australian vibe. His comedy was distinctively Australian, gritty, and unrefined. The foreign styles that are frequently shown on television were not like this. Hogan immediately realized that he had discovered a gift that could take him far beyond his work repairing the Harbour Bridge, and he was adored by both the judges and the audience. Because of how well-known his comedy was, Hogan quickly had the opportunity to host his own show. The Paul Hogan Show, in which he not only performed but also created and produced, was a great smash on television in the 1970s and early 1980s. Because it was a sketch comedy with odd characters, humorous scenarios, and a sarcastic edge that parodied everyday life and Australian stereotypes, people enjoyed the show. The wild humor was well received, and millions of people viewed Hogan as a hero for his ability to make others laugh at himself. The show was watched by many individuals outside of Australia, notably those in South Africa. This enhanced Hogan's reputation as a global performer. When he took home the coveted TV Week Logie Award for Outstanding New Talent in 1973, his efforts were rewarded. His ascent to fame as a comedian was evident from this. Hogan had a straightforward beginning as an actor. He made his film debut in 1980, playing a minor part in the Australian comedy Fatty Finn. He had never worked in the film industry before. 5 years later, he landed a larger role as Lance Corporal Pat Clary in the historical drama Anzacs, a television miniseries about Australian soldiers during World War I. He was able to demonstrate his ability as an actor to handle both serious and humorous material in this part. The world was about to meet Hogan in a much more significant way. Even though he was already a well-known and popular TV figure, Paul Hogan rose to international fame in 1986 with the release of Crocodile Dundee. He co-wrote the screenplay and portrayed the character of Michael J. Dundee, a crazy man with a large personality, in addition to being the film's lead. The film, directed by Peter Feynman, chronicled Dundee's journey through the crowded streets of New York City and the Australian outback. People from all over the world were captivated by the humorous collision of cultures. Despite having a budget of less than $10 million, Crocodile Dundee made hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide at the box office. It was a cultural as well as financial success. It made Hogan a well-known actor worldwide and introduced Australia to the world of movie theaters. Hogan received recognition and attention from critics for Crocodile Dundee's popularity. His talent as a scriptwriter earned him nominations for both an Academy Award and a BAFTA. He won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy. Few performers can claim that in their first major international role, but Hogan's outstanding performance and innate sense of humor made Dundee a memorable film. The audience went wild as he capitalized on a universal archetype, the gritty outsider who has the ability to captivate anyone. Due to the success of the original film, Hogan reprised the role in the 1988 Crocodile Dundee 2. Despite the film's success at the box office, critics weren't thrilled with it because they felt it lacked the original film's enchantment. Despite this, Hogan's reputation remained strong. The 1990 comedy drama Almost an Angel featured him as a small-time crook who has a chance to turn his life around. It was unfortunate that the film did not garner positive reviews from reviewers or viewers. Hogan's 1994 Western comedy Lightning Jack was equally poorly received by critics. Fans still enjoyed his distinct sense of humor, though. In the 1996 family film Flipper, based on the former television series of the same name, Hogan as a grouchy uncle who develops a relationship with his nephew and a gregarious dolphin. Although Hogan's performance was favorably received, the film did poorly at the box office, earning only $20 million out of a $25 million production cost. It's interesting to note that despite its poor box office performance, the film received multiple award nominations. This demonstrates that Hogan is still able to engage audiences on screen. In the 1998 TV film Floating Away, he continued to portray a wide range of roles. In the 2001 film Crocodile Dundee, Hogan reprised his most well-known role in Los Angeles. The film was regarded as the worst of the three, and wasn't as well liked as the other two in the series. But for Hogan and the Dundee persona that had shaped his career, it marked the end of an era. Following Dundee's farewell, Hogan took a vacation from Hollywood and concentrated more on his private life. Hogan worked on lesser films in the years that followed, including the road movie Charlie and Boots, 2009, which focused on the bond between a father and son, and the Australian comedy Strange Bedfellows, 2004, which tells the story of two men who pose as a gay couple in order to earn money. Both films were successful in Australia and served as a reminder of Hogan's enduring charm and warmth as a comedian. In 2013, Hogan made a remarkable guest visit on Adam Hill's Tonight to demonstrate that his charm and sense of humor had not diminished, despite the fact that he was not playing as often as he once did. Long-term partnerships, family responsibilities, and well-known marital issues have dominated Paul Hogan's personal life, which frequently received as much attention as his career. Long before he rose to fame as a comedian or a global movie star, he initially married Nolene Edwards in 1958. At the time, Hogan was still a young man in Sydney, working in blue-collar occupations. In his early years, the marriage provided him with stability and a family life. They were able to create a large family because they had 5 children together during their marriage. For a long period, even as Hogan transitioned from a building worker to a TV comic and eventually a movie star, outsiders believed that their love was solid and enduring. However, after more than 2 decades together, they were no longer together by 1981. Having been married for a long period and having many children together, the couple's separation and divorce was difficult and distressing. Nevertheless, their tale took an odd turn. Less than a year after their divorce, they remarried, demonstrating their continued love for one another and desire to mend their previous relationship. This reconciliation did not last, despite the optimism. Hogan began the divorce procedure anew in 1986. In Australia, this second split rose to fame. It was widely covered by the media, and some even referred to it as one of the most egregious divorces in the nation. The media extensively reported on the monetary settlements, personal charges, and emotional toll, transforming what ought to have been a private matter into a public spectacle. After overcoming his unhappy first marriage, Hogan discovered love again in a totally different way. While filming the popular film Crocodile Dundee in the mid-1980s, he developed a strong relationship with his co-star, the American actress Linda Kozlowski. They married in 1990 and were as good together in real life as they appeared on television. Hogan's romance with Kozlowski started when he was at the top of his game, unlike his lengthy marriage to Edwards. The two rose to prominence as one of Australia's and Hollywood's most well-known couples. Together, they gave birth to a child called Chance in 1998. Their marriage appeared to be stable and loving for many years. As Hogan's work continued, they maintained their united front and attended numerous public engagements together. However, there were issues with this marriage as well. In October 2013, Kozlowski filed for divorce from Hogan, claiming they could no longer cohabitate after more than 2 decades of marriage. Both parties emphasized how much they loved and respected their kid, and this divorce was said to be amicable in comparison to his first. Hogan's second marriage ended in 2014 when the divorce was finalized. As a father, Hogan has always placed a high value on his family life. Together, they have 5 children: Lauren, Todd, Scott, Brett, and Clay. They were all raised during Hogan's ascent to fame. They had a typical family life as children, but they also had to cope with the additional pressures of having a well-known father. Hogan's 6th and youngest kid with Linda Kozlowski was named Chance. Nearly 40 years after the birth of his first kid, he had a son. Despite his several marriages, many claim that a significant aspect of his identity was his role as a father to 2 older adult children and a younger son later in life. The role of Mick Crocodile. Dundee made Australian actor Paul Hogan famous worldwide. In his life, he has experienced both joy and sorrow. One of the hardest aspects of his life was his divorce from Linda Kozlowski, his wife of almost 2 decades, and co-star in the Crocodile Dundee films. In addition to illustrating the anguish of a failed marriage, Hogan's account of the split also highlights the profound emotional toll that years of shared history, lifestyle disparities, and celebrity can have on 2 people who were once genuinely in love. Hogan has acknowledged that the breakup wasn't simple and hasn't held back from discussing the wounds it caused. Hogan claimed that saying goodbye to Kozlowski was heartbreaking for him, since it felt like losing both a best friend and a partner. Their relationship appeared to be a fairy tale from the outside. While working on the film that would make them both internationally famous, they met in the late 1980s. Both on and off film, the strong Australian hero and the stunning American actress looked stunning. According to Hogan, beneath the polished Hollywood facade, there were fissures that widened over time. Regarding the dissolution of their marriage, Hogan previously remarked, "Divorce is like surgery without anesthesia. Every cut and tear you experience causes invisible scars that you feel every day." This detailed account shows how deeply the separation affected him. Hogan, who is renowned for his witty banter and easygoing sense of humor, admitted that the breakup temporarily sapped his optimism. "You consider yourselves tough. You believe you can manage any situation." However, he observed, "It's like the ground disappears beneath you when the person you built your life with walks away." Hogan was in a lot of agony because his everyday existence was disrupted by Linda's sudden absence. They had been doing everything together for almost 20 years, including raising their son Chance, navigating the highs and lows of Hollywood stardom, and traveling back and forth between Australia and the US. "The house was dead quiet when she left," Hogan recalled. "It hurt like hell every time I walked by her empty chair, or saw her coffee cup in the cupboard." Such remarks remind audiences that wealth and fame don't shield people from suffering and reveal the true side of a man who is frequently presented as the attractive Crocodile Dundee. Additionally, Hogan has been candid about the difficulty of ending a relationship with someone who shared both his personal and professional life. "It's not like you can just erase the past," he stated. "Every movie, every photo, and every memory has her face in it. Putting that in a box and forgetting about it is not an option." In addition to being personal, their marriage was linked to Hogan's public character and professional success. Moving on was far more difficult as a result of this than it would have been for a typical couple. Hogan has consistently expressed his regard for Linda as a mother and a person, even in the face of the acrimony of the divorce proceedings. But his statements allude to the silent suffering that lingers long after the paperwork is put away. "People think divorce ends the pain once the papers are filed," Hogan stated. "But the truth is that's when it begins. Next comes the loneliness, the loss, and the thought of what you could have done better." He has considered things that demonstrate his struggles with guilt and the reality that love, even when it is genuine, isn't always able to unite people when their differences are too great. At last, Hogan has made an effort to put the tragedy in perspective. Under his breath, he murmured, "You learn to live with it. The scars don't go away, but you find a way to keep going. Life continues on even when your heart breaks. All you can hope for is a slightly better next time." These remarks demonstrate that despite having experienced a horrific loss, the man is still seeking serenity and fortitude to handle life's setbacks. In addition to ending a marriage, Paul Hogan's divorce from Linda Kozlowski also ended a relationship that had been significant to him for the most of his adult life. His frank remarks, highlight the emotional harm caused by celebrity relationships, and serve as a reminder to everyone that the same human frailty that underlies all Hollywood romances also affects us all.